I think it's one of the 7 deadly sins. Jealousy is real. Facebook brings it to us. And I have suffered through watching a longtime friend of mine travel the world, catching fish. I don't even know what they are. I don't know what this guy's doing, if he's just trying to catch every fish in the ocean or what. But I figured it was time we get him on the podcast to try to unravel this mystery of how my good buddy from long ago is this international fishing traveler these days. I hope he's got some good stories. I'm Brandon Butler.
I'm Nathan Shags McLeod.
And I'm Bob Critser.
Welcome to the Driftwood Outdoors podcast. Yeah, I'm excited to have like a fishing heavy episode here because we've been talking so much deer hunting and so much CWD. I'm glad to kind of cleanse the palate and talk some fishing. But before we get into it, Brandon, I do have some bad news about the nuptials, the forever fiance and I getting married in about a month. And I invited our governor, Mike Kehoe, and he was on 93.9 The Eagle this morning, and sister station. I do morning radio for a classic rock station, and I heard that he was coming on, so I talked to the producer and the host. I was like, you should ask him when you have him if he's going to come to my wedding or not. He hasn't RSVP'd yet. And they did. I'll give him credit. It was pretty entertaining. They waited to the very last moment to ask him, and he said, unfortunately, they have a prior commitment, but he did take a nice jab at me like he likes to do, saying that he didn't want to be there because he's afraid I'd be too tongue twisted and be too nervous that I would ruin the special day. So the governor, unfortunately, doesn't sound like he will be showing up to the wedding next month.
Well, I got some inside information, and Secret Service said no way. like we checked it out, and you want to go where with who? And they just laughed out of the room and said no. So he was trying to let you down nicely, but us being the controversial figures that we are, you weren't allowed to have the governor there.
Yeah, well, at least we can say he was invited.
No, dude, how cool is that? Like, I want to talk to your what do you call them? The consultants that come in. And I'll be like, this guy, this madman from the radio 10 years ago, did you ever think he'd be like first name basis jabbing with the governor on air? Like, what a pretty cool thing this has turned into.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll get a chance to, because the big city consultant's actually coming to the wedding from Chicago. Yeah. And I'm excited because he's like the most city person you'll ever meet, but like big city person you'll ever meet. And for him to be down in the Ozark in that whole Shannon-Denton County area, taking gravel roads to Big Rock Candy Mountain, I think it's going to be pretty entertaining to see what him and his wife think about.
I'll just wear Shags is friends with Kehoe button. Like, that's how we'll rub it in. So, hey, speaking, we are going to get to fishing. It's going to be a fishing heavy deal. Hold tight with us for a second, Bob, because one of the things I do want to talk to Bob about is why he's fishing so much lately, which has a lot to do with deer hunting, which is interesting because I think he's just a few steps ahead of me. But I took an incredible phone call today, and I want to tell people about it. We get into some of these Facebook back and forths, and there's a guy, I feel comfortable sharing his name now. His name's Bob Parker. He's down in Texas County, and you could definitely say he's one of the more outspoken kind of against MDC guys out there. And it just boggled my mind. The guy's got a bookshelf like mine. I was like, that's super cool. And he makes these incredible canoes. He's a free range outfitter. And I pointed out in some of his arguments, like, look, you're a free range outfitter. You're taking more from the resource than the rest of us. And I'm cool with that. Like, I'll even promote it for you. We need more people hunting. We need to get people into hunting. You're following the rules. There's nothing wrong here. But I don't understand the disconnect between you benefiting and where you're at right now. So he called me, like, all credit to this guy, like, just got my number, called me, and we talked for almost an hour and a half, and had so many things in common. Still, his one big concern was, they're killing 117 deer in Texas County because they found one CWD positive. And in fact, I actually called Sumner's after this conversation to talk to him, because I told this guy, Bob, that, like, look, Sumner's will talk to you. Like he will have a respectful conversation with anybody. And I said, hey, I just had this really great conversation. Here was a couple of his points that I thought were really valid. Have you thought about this or thought about that? And I asked him about that, and he said, yeah, we know that when we can get on a positive site fast, we have the best chance of getting any of the additional positives. So that's what happened. But then Bob and I talked about like the 0.07% number of cold deer out of the hunter harvested deer. So 300,000 hunter harvested deer, 4,600 total cold deer in that year. And he said, well, if it's that low and that's statistically, irrelevant, then why do it at all? Like, why upset these thousands of people and have this political backlash? Another great question. And, I posed that to Sumner's, and that's when he's like, we know we can get on it quick and knock it back if we do it fast. And then if we get anything in what we would consider more of a hot zone where we've seen more than one positive, we're going to try to knock it back too. So also a good answer. But it was just encouraging that this kind of conversation could be had. It was very respectful and friendly. And I invited him to come on our podcast, and he, gratefully accepted. So I'm looking forward to having him on. We talked about some of the other issues. Otters, he's a Texas County guy, doesn't like the otters. I get it. So it'll be a good conversation. So we've reached out and shared an olive branch, and I thought it was, it was big of him to call. We definitely agreed. A few people have been dropped on their heads and need to be ignored. And, so it's like the intellectual side of the argument against the department from this guy. And I thought it was great. So I'm looking forward to it. So if he's listening, thank you. And I feel good about what we did, because these are the kind of conversations that can come from it. So when people are like, why would you waste your time? It's not a waste of time, because occasionally, you get to have a conversation with somebody who, is reasonable, and you might not agree on everything, but you can agree on some things. So
you don't read the comments about my TED rant. Those aren't going too well anymore.
There were some positive ones, though. There were some pretty good ones in there about your TED
there
rant.
were some positives mixed in there, but it was just kind of funny. Oh boy, yeah. Just getting the name calling and things like that. Let's go.
Yeah, well, what did you expect? We kind of poked the bear there.
Oh,
but
yeah, 100%. Like I knew going in. I was like, this is gonna go.
I just want Ted Nugent to come at us. I want him to come at you. Like, I just want you to be able to say that after all these years of hating him, that he actually insulted you personally.
I finally made it.
Yes, your career is now complete. So Bob and I grew up in Crown Point, Indiana together. His older brother, Bill, was in my grade. Bob was in my brother's grade. So we were all kind of hanging out throughout our youthful days. Bob turned into a big sportsman, got pretty heavy into deer hunting, also guilty of kind of going down that douchebaggery of TV show hunter type things, like I'm guilty of as well. Like we share the guilt. But I think Bob's kind of fallen out a little bit on deer hunting, not a little bit, kind of a lot of bit, and has gone all in on worldwide fishing adventures. Why the shift, man? You used to be ate up.
I hunted deer from the time I was probably 12 years old until I was about 40, pretty hard, and killed a lot of deer. Really like bow hunting, and but as time went on, in my 20s and 30s, and now my 40s, I'd fall in love with a piece. I'd get access, and it'd be nice ground, and hunt it for 3, 4, 5 years, and then the bulldozers would come in. And then I'd be on to the next piece and the next piece. And, I shouldn't, I'm not complaining, because I was blessed with beautiful private ground that no one else had permission on, loaded with deer. It was phenomenal hunting, and it was free, but it always would come and then it'd be taken away over and over and over. And then the older I got, I just, got to admit, I'm not as tough as I used to be, and I don't like getting cold. And, no one's ever going to take away the ocean, and most of the I go to is pretty darn hot. So, it's nice weather. It's just a different adventure for me now,
Hey, I talk often about how blessed we are in Missouri to have the public lands that we have, which don't compare to Colorado or Montana or Wyoming. But as far as Midwestern states go, for guys that chase whitetails and turkeys, we've got some incredible public lands. I talk about where I was born and raised and grew up hunting, with no, you and I have not talked about this. So with no kind of preemptive conversation, tell people what it's like public land wise in the northern half of Indiana.
uh, the parking lot would be full of vehicles. You'd have complete derelicts, everywhere. Yeah, the Orange Army, you call it, and you'd look out in the woods and you'd count the orange people in the trees, and they're 60 yards from each other.
That's exactly what I say. Yeah, I
Yeah.
tell people what it was like driving to Winnemac. When that little stretch between Tippecanoe State Park on the left and Winnemac Fish and Wildlife Area on the right, and there was an orange. I think you had to be spaced out 50 yards. Chags, it was like opening day of trout season, but opening day of deer season, and there was a guy in an orange jacket every 50 yards, the entire fence line, and we would drive by that as kids, and it would be pointed out to us like, this is, if you're a failure in life, this is where you go hunting, so public lands are kind of like painted in that light where we grew up. So there is no real option of going to public lands in northern Indiana, which is a big reason why I fight so hard for them here in Missouri.
Man, that's wild. Because I mean, you got to see where I grew up hunting in the hills on the Oregon coast, to where back before it started to get more privatized with the Weyerhaeuser and the fences and stuff, where all that country used to be open. As long as you just walked in past the fence, like you could go for miles and miles and miles and not even see another vehicle. That I couldn't imagine being that close to someone on opening day of deer season.
Yeah, you recently got to go to Northeast Indiana to go to Paddle Don's wedding, so you got to see the countryside, and it's very much like North Central Missouri. It looks very similar, but in North Central Missouri, you've got Davisdale at 5,000 acres, and Rudolph Bennett is 5,000 acres. I'm ballparking. I don't think there's, and Bob, help me out, not including state parks. I'm just talking about huntable land in northern Indiana. And everybody knows I love the Indiana DNR in Indiana, so I'm not throwing shade. I'm just trying to be honest. I don't think there's 50,000 acres of public land in the whole northern half of the state.
Oh,
no. Yeah, I mean, you got like Jasper Pulaski, Winnemac, Kingsbury, Willow Slough, Pigeon River, but they're all like 3,000 acres or
Grand Kankakee Marsh, a little.
Yeah, but that's only I don't even think that's 1,000 acres.
No.
But either way, there isn't much, man. And it's like, why a guy like Bob, who has the means to buy land or lease land, but just we grew up door knocking, and now that's just not an option really. And there's no public land, so what's a guy to do? You go fishing. So
yeah.
How'd you make?
Well, that's how it started for me, even before the hunting. And I was a kid, as probably 6 or 7, and my dad would take me down to his mom's house. And she had a small farm, a small town, and a little pond there. And she'd wake me up every morning at 5 a.m. with a blueberry pancake the size of the skillet, right? With half blueberries in it. And I'd eat it. And then her driveway, if it had rained or had dew on it, she'd have night crawlers all up and down it. So I'd go pick the night crawlers off her driveway, and I'd fish all day. And I started filleting bluegill, trying to, when I was, 6, 7, and I'd catch a mess of fish, and she'd cook it for me for dinner, and I'd repeat over and over and over. And that's really how the addiction began.
Yeah, I used to pick night crawlers off the greens at Four Seasons. After the rain, that they come crawling out of the putting greens on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we used to walk the railroad tracks to the local mini mart or gas station and turn in the soda cans so we could buy bait or buy a new lure, and then we'd go fish all day. After, I mean, I was like 10, 11 years old, just cruising railroad tracks like a weirdo.
Stand by me. You want to see a dead body?
Yeah, exactly. That was very similar to that
too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, didn't Stand By Me fictionally take place in Oregon?
It did, yes.
Man, that's
was
probably my favorite childhood movie. It's
it
such a
was
great movie.
yeah, it was shot in Washington, like the Castle Rock area, but it was supposed to be in a small town in Oregon.
Yeah. I just noticed your shirt. I talked to Hawkins today. He said he went to the owners club meeting.
He did. I
So-
introduced him to everybody.
I tried to get him to go close this Friday in Salem and then fish afterwards, but he's got to work. So we're going to do it by mail, I guess. But I bought a lot, Bob, and then I chickened out and sold it to a friend. It's going to be Shags' neighbor. So it's down by kind of where the cabin was. Just not going down there again. So
I need to come down next spring and turkey hunt. That's one thing I still love to do.
yeah,
It's
come on.
nice
man.
weather. Sounds like you guys got birds down there.
Well, Missouri always has, top 3 turkey harvests in the country every year. So we've got a few. In fact, the birds there at your house in Northwest Indiana, the restocking took place from birds from Missouri.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So you're hunting Missouri birds in Indiana. You're welcome.
Now, when we were growing up in high school, you never saw a turkey around here.
Oh, no, I didn't see a turkey until I was in college, and I know exactly where I was sitting down there in Roselawn on that farm I got to hunt growing up, and I heard the commotion coming through the woods, and I mean, I started shaking just from the sound. I thought there was a buck the size of a moose coming at me, and it was just, and then it was just like little black blob, blob. I'm like, what in the hell is that? And I was like, oh my God, that's a wild turkey. And found out that right there on that prairie chicken refuge, that's now owned by TNC. That's where they started the reintroductions in that part of the world. So those were some of the first turkeys to touch ground in northern Indiana. So
yeah, now it's not uncommon to see them around here. If you know where there's certain fields or areas that I know they live in that I just I like watching them in the spring. I'll strut it up, and
yeah,
it's just fun for me.
Well, get into some of this fishing. We talked, I don't know, 6 months or so ago, and you were telling me about some of the adventures that you've been on. And is there a goal, or is it just to fish as much as possible? Are you trying to check certain fish off a species list, or are you just going wherever the ocean takes you?
Kind of wherever the ocean takes me. I mean, it started out with I wanted to catch a bluefin tuna, and from the research I did, there was the East Coast, which are traditionally the big giant bluefin you see people catching, and then you had the West Coast. And as I started researching both fisheries, out of Southern California, there's a fleet of these big long range boats that you get on. They're 80, 100, even 130 foot boats with 20, 30 people, and you go down 500, 800 miles down out in the ocean and down the coast of Mexico. And you live on the boat for, 8, 10 days, and there's a chef there. You get 5 meals a day. I mean, you gain weight on these trips. The food's phenomenal. But I started, thinking that would be super cool, the variety, because you go down and you catch tuna, and you catch mahi, and you catch wahoo, and you catch bluefin and yellowfin and rockfish, and just a huge variety trip. And the fishing, when you go those distances, you go to these sea mountains that people don't go to because they're too far. And it's not even fishing, it's catching.
Sea mountains, like mountains under the water?
Yeah. Wow. So like you can be in 10 to 12,000 feet of water. Then there's pinnacles that come up to 100 feet out there in the middle of the ocean. And if you can get to these pinnacles, which in these boats, they have like some crazy, like a 2,000 mile range on them. So they could go 2,000 miles each way on fuel.
Huh.
And you go out and you just catch the most insane amount of fish. Like one day we caught 10,000 pounds of yellowfin tuna in 8 hours with 22 people.
What was the biggest one?
Probably 75 pounds. They were like 40 to 70 pound tuna.
I wasted my once in a lifetime on a yellowfin tuna. The very first yellowfin I caught was 211 pounds. And we got it on the boat, and the guy had been a captain for like 32 years. And they were all screaming and dancing, and I was like, so it's a good one, you know? And they're like, yeah, man, it's a good one. Like you'll never see one like this again. So, but hey,
No,
100-foot boat, like that sounds pretty big, but there's 100-foot boats on Lake of the Ozarks. You're 700 miles out into the ocean on a 100-foot boat. Like, are you kind of scared? Like, is it a little scary?
actually, no. I mean,
Dude.
I'm not scared of it. They have all the rafts and stuff that would be needed if the boat was to go down. They have constant ability to contact the United States Coast Guard. The United States Coast Guard would come rescue us. Now, even though we might be 700 or 800 miles from San Diego, the furthest I've ever been actually off land was like 240 miles, maybe.
And that's about 239 and a half too far for this guy.
Like, it's only 240 miles off out on the ocean. So
I was 36 and it was scary as hell.
Yeah, how many rooms are in there? If you guys are staying there for so many nights and you got 20 plus people on there, do you all have your own room? Or are you bunking with people, or how's that work?
Generally, it's 2 people per room on these trips. They're bunk rooms that have, 2 bunks, a little closet for each person, and a sink and a mirror. And there's not shared showers, but there's 3 showers up on the main deck, with bathrooms and showers. And they have water makers on the boat, so they actually turn seawater into fresh water. So you have unlimited water, so you can, after being around, I mean, just the fish slime alone, every day at the end of the day, I look forward to showering just to clean off, And
is there any catch and release?
Yeah, there's quite a bit. So on that trip, you're allowed to keep 30 fish. It doesn't matter the size, or there is some rules with the species. Like a marlin would count as 5 fish, and you don't keep marlin, But so you actually catch quite a few of them in certain spots there. Like there's days we've caught 40, 50 marlin as bycatch. We're not even fishing for them, and you catch that many as a bycatch.
How are 20 people fishing around this boat? Like one person hooks into a marlin. Does everybody else have to get their lines out of the water? Or?
No, but you would think it'd be like the most tangled mess ever. But as long as you keep your line tight in front of you, you just go over and under people. You follow your line. And yeah, fish will take you around the boat. And you got to have everyone working in unison, which is, you would think, impossible. But the people that go on these trips are, not novice people, and they're got their, their wits together, I guess, about them, because you would think it would be an absolute disaster. Now, if you were bottom fishing with that many lines, you couldn't do it.
Right.
Because when you're dropping bottom, it's way different than having your line scoped out to where you can follow that 100 feet or 200 feet of scoped out line versus.
Oh, so are you trolling, kind of moving, and are you guys
generally when we're fishing live bait. So they'll bring like 10,000 sardines with them, and they have a crazy amount of technology on these boats. So they go around sonaring, radaring, and if they mark a school of fish, they'll take out, they'll stop and they'll throw out, let's say 200-300 sardines, and it'll get the school, if their feet wanting to feed, fired up, and they'll start boiling on the surface. And it's like, all right, guys, everyone send out. And you throw a sardine and just let it swim out. And generally within a minute, you're bit.
Now, you fished out of Venice before, right?
Yeah, I have.
So down in Venice, the game is you get behind a shrimp boat and you try to barter for their bycatch. And the bartering system goes, you get the most bycatch for a woman. If you can drop a woman off on their boat. Weed is the second, and or drugs, and alcohol is the third. So we would just trade beer for bycatch. I'd like to see how much bycatch you could get if you actually brought him a woman.
Oh man, if you just had them flash the tits, they'd throw you bags of stuff.
Yeah, bags and bags of
it. Venice is kind of fun, but it's so expensive.
And it's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. Like,
no, there's nothing to do down there. I mean, you're in an
fishing
oil
out
patch.
of Gary.
Right. It's kind of it's an oil patch town.
Yeah. when I went there for the first time, I had like Venice. Like, I don't know what I had in my mind. Beaches and palm trees and bikinis. Not the case.
No, there's the only food you can get there is from a bar and it's fried.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
pretty
mean,
good fried though.
it's not bad, but you're eating fried food for days if you're down there for days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I still have so many questions about this offshore trip because I mean, you hook into a marlin usually, or even a big tuna. They strap you into a chair, and you got the pole like belted into you. So on this, if you hook into one, you're just free spooling it, like holding on and trying to maneuver yourself around the boat the whole time.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you're definitely stand up fishing it. Now, the thing about this West Coast style fishing, they have on the rail of the boat, they make certain rods that you can lay down on the rail to take the tension when the fish is diving. So if the fish is up and down on you, you can lay these rail rods on the boat, and then with these new reels, they have a low gear on them. You can put it in a low gear and just kind of slowly winch these big fish in. Is what I like to do. Other people want to hold and fight and tear their back up, and I'm not that strong. So it's like I'm going to use the rail and the tools to my advantage and kind of winch them in.
Do they use
pinch their
electric reels?
fingers?
No electric reels.
Did anyone pinch their fingers? Because I've seen those videos of guys that like lay the rod down and they're not paying attention. They set their hand like in between the rod and the rail, and that fish takes a run and they can't get it off their hand. It's just pinching it against the rail.
I didn't see any of that, or it hasn't happened to me. I did wear flip flops on the boat and stub my toe one time. So
What about sharks?
We caught a few sharks. We didn't have hardly any sharking problems at all. And I've done like 4 or 5 of those trips now.
Because down in Venice, you have to get your tuna in as fast as you can before a shark gets it. There's so many of them out there. The captains hate them.
No, the Gulf of Mexico and the Florida Keys and whatnot. It's so bad now that you lose over half your fish to the sharks.
Yeah, I'm not going in those waters, dude. Not at all. Not
Right.
at all. So don't be afraid to shout out the name of this company. Maybe I'll give me and Shags a free trip.
Well, the boat I like fishing in San Diego is called the American Angler.
Yeah.
And
So ballpark, you don't have to tell them exactly, but ballpark, what's a trip like this cost? Like how many days you gone? What's somebody got to be looking at to go do something like this?
3,000 to 5,000.
That ain't horrible.
No, and that's all inclusive. That's your food. You're sleeping on the boat. The boat that I recommended that includes rental tackle, so you don't have to pay. Most of the boats down there, if you don't have the gear, you have to pay them by the day to rent their stuff. This boat doesn't do that. It's an all-in price. They don't nickel and dime you.
Yeah. One more time, what's it called?
American Angler.
Out of San Diego.
Yep.
All
Yeah,
right.
AmericanAnglerSportFishing.com.
Yeah.
I'm on their website right now. Looks pretty badass.
No,
So
they're good
your
operation.
mom had a place was she a full-time Hawaii resident, or she just had a place out there for a while?
No, she was full time. She lived there for 10 years, and that's kind of where
This
I say I got
started.
to salt my my blood. I went out there and visited her and caught my first tuna, and I don't think it was bigger than 10 pounds, but I thought it was 50 when I was fighting it.
Yeah.
Just the saltwater fish fight a totally different level than anything freshwater.
How does Hawaii stack up as far as a destination for fishing?
That it's not worth going there to fish.
Really?
If you're there and you want to fish for a day, do it. But the fishing is nothing spectacular in Hawaii.
Did you hunt much in Hawaii?
I did do some hunting there. I shot turkey, black Hawaiian ram, and some Spanish goats.
What island?
The goats were on Maui, and then the turkey and the ram were on the Big Island.
So I'm planning to hunt there for my 50th birthday in a few years, and want to kill a pig and have it made into a traditional luau. You ever heard of that happening? Like, do you know of an outfit that will let you
There
shoot
was
a
a
pig and
guy
cook it?
the guy that took me goat hunting. He was a local guy. I mean, local, and when we were looking for his goats, these guys had dogs with them and spears, and they were hoping to like get pigs with dogs and spears while we're recovering one of my goats. I would have to say these guys, if I can get a hold of them, would be if you're on Maui,
Yeah.
would sure be able to take you to get a pig.
You know, a lot of people, I'm sure, don't realize this, but dogs and pigs on an island in Hawaii is why Meat Eater exists. Ranella had a show on the Travel Channel called The Wild Within. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but the story that I was told was, you know, after he was at on an island in Hawaii and chased down pigs with dogs and stabbed the pigs, they canceled the show. And that's what set him off to start Meat Eater on his own and go on to the Sportsman's Channel, and it all blew up from there. So, yeah, if the liberals hadn't been so mad that Ranella stabbed a pig in Hawaii, he'd still probably be like a Bear Grylls on the Travel Channel.
Is that how you're going to hunt your pig?
No, I just want to shoot one. I'd like to shoot with a trad bow. So, yeah, I've got a new display going. Maybe I'll show you before the podcast's over, but I'm kind of leaning back into my traditional archery. So I want to shoot one with a trad bow out there.
So tell us another one about your adventures. Have you been out of the U.S.? Like, have you traveled the world to fish anywhere?
Yeah, I've been spending some time in Costa Rica and Panama, actually.
Well, so the Savannah and I, my fiance, getting married. We want to go to Costa Rica for our honeymoon. So yeah, let's talk about fishing in Costa Rica for a little bit.
Costa Rica, the fishing is pretty amazing, really. You know, you have the offshore stuff with the marlin, the sailfish, the tunas, the stuff like that. But the inshore fishing, I really like for like the roosterfish, the cuberas, just snapper in general, getting your table fare. I'd rather eat snapper over tuna. I like a whitefish. You know, tuna's great raw. You can only eat so much little, raw tuna, but you can cook snapper so many different ways. You can fry it, garlic butter, just Cajun. You can do so much with, the inshore snapper type stuff.
Now, I am curious. Someone told me that there is trout fishing in Costa Rica, and I'd never heard that. Have you heard of trout fishing in Costa Rica?
No, I have not.
I have.
Have you, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they've got what we've got going on with, planted browns and rainbows in some of the mountain rivers. Google it.
Yeah, I'll have to work on that.
We can't afford our own Jamie. We have to do our own Googling. Our own Googling.
Come on,
around
Jamie,
here.
look it up.
So, speaking of famous podcasters, I listened to an 18-year-old boy, Amish boy, going through Rumspringa on Theo Vaughn today.
Oh, yeah?
Totally worth listen. Theo's hilarious, man. Like, that guy. And I've had so many questions about the Amish since I had him build my house, and I've kind of hung out around that community. And this kid was hilarious, talking about how they like house music. They like the beat of the house music, or like techno, but they also like to sneak off to Def Leppard concerts. I guess Def Leppard is really big in his Amish community. It was just great listening to this guy. He was asking questions about driving a car. It was cool.
So yes, there are trout in Costa Rica, up in the mountains, in some of their cold mountain streams.
So Bob and I have a friend that defected and moved down to Costa Rica for life. Brad Rechtenwall. He split out of Crown Point, and he's been in Costa Rica for 25 years now. Got to be over 20 years.
Ayahuasca shaman?
That's what he is. He's a shaman. He went from building houses in Northwest Indiana to going to Africa to get ordained as a shaman so he can give people ayahuasca in Costa Rica, and then just got covered in tattoos, and he's got a couple sons, and he's just living he's like he's an ayahuasca shaman. There's no like about it. That's just what he is in Costa Rica. I hope he still fishes. Kind of lost contact recently, but none of the counselors in high school gave him that as an option for a career moving forward.
Now that would be funny. Fill out the test, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're qualified to be an ayahuasca shaman in Costa Rica.
You have to go to Africa and learn about the bark of this tree.
I actually know a guy that does those trips like 5 times a year. You know him, Brandon. Kevin
Kevin who?
Van Sussen.
I've heard of that. I've heard that name. I don't know him. I don't think I know him well.
Okay.
He does ayahuasca 5 times a year.
Yeah, he's down there like 5, 6 times a year doing those retreats.
Should get that dude on the podcast.
Yeah, no kidding.
That seems excessive to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I've heard once is life changing. 5 or 6 times a year. I don't know.
Savannah and I have actually talked about it, but then we're like, well, is that how we want to spend our honeymoon, with a bunch of strangers, like pissing and shitting and puking in a bucket just to be enlightened on a psychedelic trip?
You'll probably look at each other at the end and be like, what did we just do? What are we doing?
We both made a giant mistake. No,
I'm really supposed to be a bird. I'm supposed to be a bird.
But yeah, I'll be curious. It got brought up a couple of times, but I don't know how prevalent or how easily accessible ayahuasca trips are in Costa Rica. You just hear about them all the time. You kind of just assume you go to a resort and they're going to have an ayahuasca section of it. But did you go to an all-inclusive place while you're there? Like where do you stay when you go and fish?
So when I'm in Costa Rica, I go to a small town called Nosara. It's just kind of like a surfer hippie, I'm not going to say like a bougie town, but it's kind of like a hippie town that appears to have some money from tourists.
Steamboat Springs of Costa Rica.
Yeah, it's small, but and what I found, I like the smaller areas, because when you get the big areas like Capos and Los Sueños, when you get 100 boats that go out of the marina every day, that ground's hit hard. I'd rather go out of the marina that's got 2 or 3 boats going out of it every day. And, the fish aren't near as pressured is my mentality on it.
No,
I don't go to the big fancy bougie, I don't need any of that. I can take a small boat out in the ocean, and some of the boats that I went out on were like 20 feet. I'm 25 miles out in the ocean on them.
So yeah, I don't want to go that far out in the ocean. I'm not as comfortable as you are being that far out. But like, let's talk a little bit of inland fishing. Like, are there flats? Like, where were you chasing those rooster fish and stuff at? Are you way out again?
No, you're right offshore when you're chasing those. You're generally within a quarter mile, and what you'll have these big rocks sticking out of the water, or, like I was talking about seamounts earlier. It could be 200, 300, 400 feet, and it comes up to 60. So where you have some depth, and then you'll get like some pinnacles that'll come up to like anywhere from like 100 to like 60 feet. It seems to be where we catch those rooster fish. Or there's another one, the Cubera snapper is like one that's on everyone's list. They are the hardest fighting fish I've ever had on the line. It's unbelievable the power these things have. And that's all inshore. And then like jigging, if you're into jigging, you can go jig the reefs out there and just have a blast. Catch, if the fish are feeding and you get on them. I mean, I've had days that you're losing so many jigs, you're getting upset. The bite's that good, And
Man,
that's funner to me than chasing tuna offshore. I'd like to be inshore catching that stuff. And it's such a variety. You can catch 10 species a day.
Yeah. Well, what do you do for a living that lets you just gallivant across the world and fish all these great places?
I sold a company some years back that's made life a little easier for me. And then my family has an excavation company that I work for. I say it's part-time, but 1,000, 1,500 hours a year, maybe. And which is good income too, just that. And I have 3 kids, or I actually have 4. I have 3 little kids. I spend a lot of time with them and spend quite a bit of time traveling too.
Now, do you take the little ones with you on these trips?
No.
Not ready for that yet?
Not on these, no. I mean, when I go on these, I'll be on a boat, 5, 6 days in a row, and are living on boats for 8 or 10 days, and that's not anything my little kids want to do.
How old's Gabe now? Your older boy?
He's 20.
Yeah, Bailey's 20. Is he in school?
No, he's in the laborers union.
Right on.
Yeah, so he's doing well and making.
Do any of your kids enjoy fishing?
My littles, I've taken them a few times to like little ponds for bluegills and whatnot. And I actually just bought a Ranger boat over the weekend, the Deep V, to take it out on Lake Michigan or other lakes. I can tube on it, but I want to figure out the perch fishing locally. And
Well, you just got to come down and visit, dude. I got 3 acres loaded with perch. We're growing the state record in my yard.
You Indiana boys and your perch, let me tell you.
I built my lake here, and I stocked it with 500 6-inch yellow perch, 1,000 bluegill, and 500 red ear, and left it for almost a year. And then went around to other ponds that have too many bass in them and collected about 110 bass, mostly over 2 pounds, up to 7 pounds, and loaded those into the lake and thought it might decimate the perch population, but we've caught them up to 10 inches already. The state record is kind of a freak out of Bull Shoals down on the Arkansas border. It's 2.5 pounds or so. So that's going to be tough. But the alternative method is only like 10 ounces. And I think I'm there. So we're just going to start setting trout lines and jugs for yellow perch in the lake. If you want to come down and be part of the catching of the state record, come on down. So I will. My goal is to be in the state record book of Missouri with the alternative method yellow perch soon.
There you go. Well, and they're delicious to eat.
They're the best tasting fish on the planet, in my opinion. Although some of them saltwater fish I haven't tasted yet. I bet they're pretty damn good too.
Yeah, them saltwater snapper.
Are you eating like sashimi and all that on the? Are you guys just cutting it up and eating it on the boat? What are you doing out there for food?
We do some of that, but they bring. I mean, we'll do prime rib one night. They'll do like rack of lamb. I mean, you're eating. I'm going to call it 4-star restaurant food.
Yeah,
they're on the liveaboard trips out of San Diego. The food's that level. I mean, they bring. I mean, it's fresh produce. They have a whole walk-in fridge like a restaurant would have on the boat. Climate controlled, humidity controlled. They make fresh bread every day. And,
but the fish that you're eating, some of the fish you're catching, you getting to try them?
Yeah,
or is everybody just taking them home?
A lot of it goes home. So on those boats, they have what's called RSW, which is refrigerated seawater tanks. And so they're big tanks that seawater doesn't freeze until like 27 degrees. So they chill them to like 28, 29 degrees, the salt water. And within 5 minutes of your fish being brought on the boat, it's bled, spiked, and dropped into that 28-degree water. So the quality of the fish that you get, because the handling of it is so good. And then when you get back to San Diego, you literally offload it on the dock. And if you choose, like I do, because I live out of state, they come, they weigh it, they take it away, and it shows up at my door a month later, vacuum sealed and frozen. And
tell people what spiked means.
That's where you spike them in the brain. You put a spike in the brain immediately. One, it puts the fish down, puts it up, and then it also, they say, stops the fish from producing lactic acid. So when you're eating fish and you taste fishiness, you're not supposed to taste that. That's because the fish wasn't handled properly. When you're eating really fishy fish,
it does something to the nervous system where they like stop that and like, it just makes the meat better.
Makes the meat
spike
better.
them. Mm-hmm. You gonna start spiking your brown trout shacks?
Yeah. So that's a joke that you haven't said in a while. So
I know.
Well, way to bring that one back. Now
somebody said it the other day. I can't remember where.
Yeah, there was a comment section. There was somebody made a comment. Yeah,
forgot about that one.
So Brandon and I mean, if we ever actually book it, we need to, are supposed to be going to Argentina next year to chase golden dorado. Have you ever done anything like that in Argentina?
No, I've not been that far south. Panama is as far south as I've been. And I've been to Panama, 3 times now. But
what were you fishing for down there?
Tuna, marlin, roosterfish, cubera. Primarily, I was trying to get a 70-pound roosterfish and a 70-pound cubera. And I've gotten a 60-pound cubera and a 50-pound rooster.
Show us that rooster fish
Is
above
that
your
the one
head.
you have on your wall behind you?
That is the big rooster fish right there. Hard to see how big it is, but that's the big rooster right there.
It's awesome, man.
That is a cool fish.
Who do you
And
use
it
for
was
your
my first one
replicas?
ever. So to get the trophy on your first one was pretty awesome. I'm not good. I'm just lucky. So,
Where do you get your replicas done?
King Sailfish mounts. Their work is like, dude, they're artists. It's unbelievable the detail that you get it out of their replicas. Yeah, and almost all the fish I catch do go back into the water. I take a picture, release them, and I might keep a few small fish for dinner. But all these trophy fish, if I catch them, are all going back in the water when I'm in Costa Rica and Panama.
You can see Shags' trophy trout behind him there. So we're Scenic Rivers taxidermy guys for our stuff.
But I mean, I agree with you that having someone that can do a really good replica is just having an artist. Like they did such a phenomenal job down there doing that tabletop for me, doing both my big browns I caught on Lake Taneycomo a couple of years ago, a 24-inch and a 31-inch that got me into the Hall of Fame. So looks like we just lost Brandon.
Yeah, I see that. I guess he's like, I'm out. I've had enough of you guys.
Enough of this. Fishing. And there he's finally back. You hit the wrong button.
Hit the wrong button.
I got to refill my water real quick. Can I step away for a minute?
Yeah, go for it. Man, that's nice of Paddle Dawn today. I didn't even realize that
I had no idea either.
6 years in. I should have known September, and I saw the receipt come out. I got the email from Spreaker saying our annual bill is due, and it should have dawned on me that, like, oh yeah, it's a new year. But that was pretty nice of him to make that post talking about
it was
6 years in.
Can you cut this part out, or is it going to stay?
I'm just going to leave it. We're already 47 minutes in, so
we need to talk about another bill, but I'll explain it off air, or it'll derail the podcast.
One of like for a second, I'm so used to us talking policy and conservation. I was like, oh God, what bill are we talking about now? But no, you're talking an actual financial bill.
A financial bill.
Fun.
No, bills suck.
Yeah, agreed. So
we just said while you were gone, Bob, that we just celebrated our 6-year anniversary of this podcast today. Our friend Paddle Don let us know, and we wanted to thank him for that. And then we talked about how much it sucks to pay bills. So that's what you missed.
I know all about that. All about that.
Well, yeah. Do you have any other trips lined up for this year? Or are you done for this year? You got anything coming up next year? Like, what's the next big adventure?
So in actually December, I'm going on a 10-day out of San Diego. So we're going to that trip will start by running probably 700 miles straight southwest. And it'll take us 2.5 days to get down that far. And then we kind of fish our way back.
Well, why do they do it that way? Why don't you just get picked up down in like, the Baja or something? Why can't they? If you're only 200 miles from shore, why don't they pick you up down there and then go 200 miles out?
There are some boats that in like January, February, March timeframe will do some fly down, fly back out of Cabo.
Yeah.
The big thing that makes these boats so effective is the bait and the bait receivers in San Diego. So you take away their deadly weapon, and then it's different. I mean, when that boat brings out all that sardine with them, that's the chum, man, and it works. I mean, it works.
That's cool.
But then,
keep twisting my arm. Maybe I'll join you one of these days.
But no, so
when I'm not paying 2 college tuitions at once.
In February, I have a really cool trip planned. I'm going to Panama, and we're going camping with 3 other guys on an island 80 miles off the coast. That the locals, the fishing's not near as good, where the locals have fished for years and years and years because they've been hammering that for local sustenance, but they can't get to these islands that are that far out. And I was there in February of last year on a different charter where we had like a floating lodge, basically a floating barge that's converted to a lodge. that we went out there and anchored there for like 3 days. For this one, I'm camping on it for 5 days at this island, and it goes. I mean, the continental shelf is right off this one island, so you can catch sailfish from the island, which hardly anywhere in the world you could do that from land.
Wow,
man!
And like the
like
Kubera
catfishing
snapper,
for
the fish that some
sailfish.
people say is the hardest fish to catch in the world and rarest. And last time I was there fishing for them, I caught 5 in a day. There's that many there.
That's pretty impressive.
That's wild. Out there living your best life, man. Super jealous.
What about like so you're going to these cool kind of Central America locations. What about going north and getting into some crazy Alaska stuff, or even out to Iceland? When I was in Iceland, there was some crazy fishing going on too, getting up into that cold water.
No, Alaska's definitely on the list. I need a group of guys to go. So, when you guys are ready, let's go in a year or two, I'm all for that. But there's an awesome trip I want to do in New Zealand. And there's some islands that are like a day ride off the south coast of New Zealand. It's called Three Kings Island. And you get out there and it's supposedly some legendary stuff. And the fish there get 2 to 3 times bigger than anywhere I've seen anywhere else in the world. It's pretty phenomenal, the size of the fish there.
So my daughter Bailey went to New Zealand last year, and she said, "Dad, I don't know why you don't live there." She said it's like your perfect place. So when you get that trip ready to go, you let me know. I might be very serious about going.
Well, and it's a 5-day trip, and I think it's only like $2,000.
So poor people like me can go. Is that what you're saying, Bob?
Us poor
I'm trying to coach you guys in. It's like I just buttered it up by saying only. I didn't want to give it to you dry, guys.
I want to go to New Zealand real bad. Yeah, maybe move there.
Yeah,
I don't care about killing some goat on a mountain or anything like that. I just want to go there and fish and hang out.
Chase those giant brown trout in those canals.
Oh, yeah. You know what would happen, Shags? You'd go over there and you'd catch the world record and you'd be putting Missouri down even further. You'd be like, so there's a river here in Missouri, Bob, called Taneycomo. It's called Lake Taneycomo. It's a 20-mile stretch of river between 2 dams, Bull Shoals and Table Rock. And we go back and forth with New Zealand on the, they've kind of got it now, but what are they up? They're 42 pounds is the world record brown trout.
I believe so.
And we got a 40 and a half out of this river. And we know that the world record has been shocked and seen and weighed, but we don't know if it's still alive or what, but so Missouri and New Zealand battle for the world record brown trout. It's kind of ironic.
Yeah, totally.
Well, we want to go to the mystery bait bucket question. We're kind of getting towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah, let's wrap her up.
Well, Bob, what you see here in front of you is an antique bait bucket. We picked this up 6 years ago at the Midway Antique Mall. So it's a fun way to wrap up the podcast. It's just a random question submitted by our listeners. And very rarely does it have anything to do with the outdoors. It's just kind of fun and silly. And I'll read it and then we'll all go around and answer. And if you want to pose a question, you can email us info@driftwoodoutdoors.com or slip into our DMs on Facebook and Instagram, Driftwood Outdoors, or leave a comment in this YouTube video. This one comes from Dan Batts. What was your favorite cartoon growing up? Oh, I got so many. I'm still kind of...
There was different eras. He-Man was probably my favorite though. If I only had one that I could go back to, it would be He-Man.
That was a good one. He-Man, Skeletor.
Battle Cat. I wanted to ride Battle Cat around so bad.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Simpsons.
That was a good
That's
one.
A classic.
Favorite turtle?
I liked Leonardo.
Yeah.
I thought his swords were pretty awesome.
I was always a Donatello guy. I liked the smart, nerdy dude, and it was a stick. So you could just go outside and suddenly you had Donatello's staff as a weapon too.
Yeah, I liked Leonardo. My brother liked Raphael. Donatello I've definitely practiced being a mutant ninja turtle with a bow staff more than any other weapon. But yeah.
I mean, you had G.I. Joe's a hard one not to being like the 80s, 90s kid. I mean, even
knowing is half the battle.
yes. I mean, you learned a lesson after every episode. I mean, X-Men was a fun one, but I'll go off script, and it's really silly, but Muppet Babies. I got the biggest kick out of Muppet Babies and like Baby Beaker. So I would say that was one of my favorite cartoons growing up. Since you guys did all action and superheroes, I'll do a silly.
Tom and Jerry was hard to pass over too.
Yeah, even just basic Looney Tunes. I mean, they still hold up.
Looney Tunes was good
because they had a little bit of everything.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That was my favorite cartoon. Jessica Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit. It would be.
Yeah.
Well, do we have a final thought? The final cast of the pod?
I just think it's cool what Bob's been doing, man. It's fun to watch. Your friends. We're old enough now that you've been kind of friends for 40 years and watching people unfold and the things that you do. So he's been doing these adventures for the last few years, and I've been watching and getting more and more jealous as I watch. And someday I'm going to go get on one of these boats with him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you a friend request, man. I want to start following some of these adventures. Are you on Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, Instagram and Facebook, yeah.
All right, just your name.
Yep.
I'll have to search you out and start giving you a follow and a friend request. But yeah, thanks for hopping on here, man. You're out there living your best life, and I love that. Being a fisherman myself, you're out here living all of our dreams. So go catch go catch that big one.
You should take us on one of those trips, and we'll take you on one of our trips down the Current River, to be fair.
Yeah. We'll go dollar for dollar on it, so we get some nice
You can stay at the Polish Embassy.
Have diplomatic immunity. All right, man. Thanks a lot for jumping on here.
Yeah,
gear review coming up next. Into the podcast, the beginning of a gear review. Brandon, what are you reviewing for us today?
Well, Shags, we're having this big housewarming fish fry coming up, and I've thought about what can we do for entertainment. We've got the pool table in the garage. We've got a lake full of soon-to-be state record yellow perch for people to catch. I thought maybe of setting up the clay thrower the way Uncle Steve and you and I did a few months ago, or whenever that was. And I thought, well, what will Shags want to do? How do I incorporate something for Shags? So I have bought a golf mat and all these floating balls, and I'm going to turn the peninsula into a green and build a little golf course with different golf mats around the yard, like maybe 3 different discs. I'm going to take down that dead tree, which won't be done in time for this, but you can help me break in the new golf mat and hitting off the dock at the green across the lake on the peninsula. So I'm going to I got the flag and everything. I'm going to go mount it in the dirt, and then I probably will get serious about it. I might take that tree down. I was showing my dad what I was thinking, and he got excited. So take that big dead tree down and actually see if I can get a green over there. And if we had like a 200, 150, and 100 yard mats. So these are floaters. So then you hit them. They can go in the lake, and then you can go out in the barge and pick them up. So
yeah, just get Willie to go out there and retrieve them and bring them back to you.
Willie would go get them all. Yeah.
And speaking of that, man, tell your dad and even your uncle, like if they wanted to come to the wedding, they're more than welcome to. I know that
we talked to my dad about that. I think he had like misconceptions. I think he thought it would be more of like a church, and we're like, man, I don't know how the crowd and the music are going to go for you. He's like, well, where's it at? And I was like, well, it's at a campground called Big Rock Candy Mountain. He's like, well, I said, it's all going to be outside. It's going to be a large crowd, and it's going to be music you will not like. and he's like, well, just tell him I'm happy for him.
Oh, that's funny.
So,
well,
yeah.
Well, they're more than welcome. If you guys are listening, you guys are always welcome anytime. But for my gear review, Brandon, I emailed you this link because I know you're a big Deadhead, a fan of the Grateful Dead. Did you get a click on that at all? The Sims partnership?
Oh man, I've been getting fed those ads for weeks now. I want to get the orange shirt that has the bear on it.
Yes.
And some of the Grateful Dead Sims collab.
I mean, it's made to wade. Their waders look super cool. I mean, Dead on the Water. wade in the sunshine, keep your head in the clouds and the sunshine at bay with Simms limited edition GD Solar Tech collection. You got the quick dry. I like that one too, with the skull and like the Simms logo in the skull. You get one life, fish it well. I like that. Like, it's just drop in, tune out, go fish. I'm a big Simms guy. I'm wearing a Simms hat now. My waders are all Simms, and I might have to get myself a Grateful Dead Simms type of merch. I don't think I can afford those waders. They're like freaking $1,000, but I could probably afford a $100 shirt.
Hanging out with the governor, gone full Simms on us.
Those things are not cheap. Their hats are $50 freaking dollars.
Yeah,
but it is pretty cool. I might have to splurge and get one.
I want to get one too. I bet our buddy Arkansas Andy got one.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Yeah. All right, Bob, thanks for joining us. We'll see the rest of you down the trail.
Sounds good.